Hey everybody, this is Jace with RMUS and welcome to another segment that we're putting into our Tech Week. Today our focus is on energy, and I'm joined by Mike Lisi from Ontario Power. Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself. What do you do, and what is your role at Ontario Power?
Hey Jace, thanks for having me. So my name is Mike Lisi. I've been working with Ontario Power Generation for just about 14 years now. I have an educational background in industrial automation and robotics, and I've worked for a number of areas of the company. I started out with our field engineering department, worked with our project controls, drafting office, who take care of the station configuration, plant management, and I guess most recently over the last maybe 5 or 6 years with our X-Lab team, or the innovation development team. And basically, I've been working to find efficiencies in the company, create strengths in safety and efficiency, and do a lot of work with robotics lately, mainly because that is my educational background and a bit of a passion as well.
Right. So it really seems like you've got the perfect storm here that, something like the Spot walks in and you're in. It sounds like you're in the perfect role to implement something like this, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anywhere we can remove any kind of hazard, or just even with COVID last few years, enable staff to perform tasks remotely. There's huge benefits in terms of safety and efficiency there.
Sure. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about that. I mean, tell us about how you guys kind of came to realize that Spot can fulfill a useful role in what you guys are doing.
Yeah, sure. So I guess using robotics is no new adventure really at the organization. However, we do have a lot of cases where we have staircases and other obstacles to navigate, and some of our traditional track robots run into problems when we get into that kind of terrain. So when we saw Spot come out on the market, we saw a great opportunity there to kind of add to our fleet of robotics. And our Pickering station actually purchased the first Spot for the company. And I think within the first few months, we had an issue come up where we were looking to perform some inspections remotely. And if we could avoid sending a person in there, there were some advantages there in terms of safety. So we deployed Spot, had to go in and collect some telemetry data, and kept the operator at a safe distance away from the work area. So right away we saw some great potential there, and just kind of grew the initiative from that moment. Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I've said it about 1,000 times. Is it seems like in the automated systems business or unmanned systems, whether it's drones or something like Spot or whatever that we deal with here at RMUS, it seems like we're always, how can we do something, well, one, more efficiently, and two, how can we improve safety? How can we get somebody out of harm's way, right? So, kind of can tell us a little bit about how Spot has enabled you guys to do that. How has it improved or changed your workflow, and what about safety? I mean, I think that's a big deal for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think in any industrial setting, safety is going to be a big concern, and it's definitely the top of the list for us. I think just the remote inspections alone have been one of the biggest advantages that we found right off the bat. Spot's incredibly easy to sort of teach and learn how to use, and we've been able to put a controller into some of our operators' hands and help them perform tasks that they're already doing daily from a safe distance from any kind of conventional safety hazards. So we've been using Spot for quite a few remote inspections. There's a lot of cases where we may have to shut down some equipment, which come with obviously revenue losses and just even issues with staffing if we have to go and perform a major task like that. So being able to keep things running, send Spot in, perform an inspection, or collect some telemetry data has been really helpful. We're still in the infancy stages, and we'd like to take things nice and slow with a conservative approach. But even with that in mind, we've had good success at actually using Spot in some real-world situations, although we kind of consider this a pilot initially. And we've only been utilizing the tech for about a year or so now. So yeah, a lot of remote inspections, and also just increasing the frequency of some of our information gathering. So some of the regular rounds and routines that we perform, We're not necessarily replacing an operator with Spot at this moment, but we can increase the frequency that we gather that data. So if an operator would normally go and take some readings once or twice a day, we can teach Spot that same routine and have it perform those inspections more frequently.
Right. I mean, and it kind of speaks to what you were talking about earlier. I mean, you're talking automation, and I mean, automation, we're talking what's happening, is it happening at the right time, and is it happening repeated over and over and over again? And, you know, obviously you have a robot sitting there, it's easy to just say, yeah, go out there every couple hours and check it out, or every 15 minutes if you have to, or every hour. You know, so, you know, obviously, you know, regularity is going to play a massive role into this type of thing. So, you know, kind of segueing into that, what type of payloads are you, like getting down to the nitty gritty, you know, what kind of payloads are you guys using? What can you speak a little bit more about the specific tasks that Spot is running and completing for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a few teams that are deploying Spots in different areas of the company. My team directly right now, we're primarily using the PTZ and infrared cameras for a lot of our remote inspections. We're starting to play with thermal imaging anomaly detection. So, you know, maybe Spot's going out to perform a certain task, but at the same time, we have the thermal imaging camera running, and you know, maybe some pre-mapped temperatures. And if it notices something outside that range, we can flag an issue, even though that's not the task it's performing. So, looking at ideas like that, where we can have multiple parallel tasks sort of running, and just having Spot on the lookout for various possible problems. Utilizing Spot Core as well, piloting a few use cases where we link up an RDS-31 gamma detector. So some of our radiation surveys that we perform just to make sure staff are safe before they go to an area. We're looking at how we can use Spot to perform some of those surveys. So again, separating the hazard from the individual and keeping people safe. And most recently, we just obtained a couple of the Spot arms. So pretty excited to start using those. They're great for inspections as well. It has the inspection camera on the hand, so you can get kind of behind into some areas where we couldn't see with the PTZ camera. And then obviously manipulating objects. So we have the ability to open doors. We have a lot of doors in the station, as well as you know, manipulating a valve or a breaker if we need to. Again, you know, if we have an electrical hazard and we prefer not to have a staff member actually go turn that breaker, we can send Spot in to do that. So we're just sort of piloting and seeing how well it performs in those scenarios right now, and then we'll look at building that into our process in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, again, the funny thing is we have this really cool, really advanced piece of tech, and you say that kind of stuff, and it seems really fairly benign or kind of a routine thing. It's like, oh well, it's just checking out stuff. It's just, you know, looking, making sure everything is good. But I mean, the real world implication of this is actually a lot bigger than it sounds. You know, so I mean, on that note, kind of tell us, like, how are you using Spot day to day? I mean, is it completing tasks on a routine thing every single day and just going through day to day? You know, and speaking to that as well, I know you guys are utilizing the Scout software. You know, can you tell us a little bit about Scout and how you're utilizing that as part of your daily as well?
Yeah, for sure. So day to day right now, a big thing for us is training, making sure we have operators qualified, and also just looking for new use cases. So I think our focus for this, at least the first half of this year, is going to be on just getting controller time to some of our operators. So we're actually developing a training program. We're going to qualify quite a few of our operators and station staff to use Spot and just get them out there performing routine tasks, especially when there's some potential safety hazard. And the great benefit to that is, you know, rather than just myself in an office with a couple colleagues picking up ideas, we actually get the staff who are out in the field performing these daily tasks to have a look at where else Spot can benefit us throughout the organization. So really this year will be a lot of discovery, training, getting staff competent and qualified with the equipment, and also coming up with new ideas. I guess day-to-day right now, again, is mostly focused on training, but we've also had some regular use from, you know, for instance, maybe engineering staff who need to go and have a look at a certain area of the plant, and maybe they're located 20, 30 minutes away. So rather than driving down, parking, going to the station just to have a quick look at something, they can deploy Spot remotely with the Scout software. And that business case is even further amplified when we look at our renewable generation side of the company. We have multiple sites. Some of them are 3-4 hours away, and we often have to, send a staff member up to an unmanned station to perform some sort of inspection. So now we can start looking at doing those sort of tasks remotely and maybe even automated in the future.
Sure, and I love that. The thing is, and what's funny is, it's funny to hear you say that, because I kind of live in this space here at RMUS too. Is, hey, we're spending a lot of time on training and stuff like that, and it just speaks to me, it speaks to the idea that for one, you guys are, I kind of put you in the category of an early adopter, of really being able to implement this and use it in your day-to-day operations. So I love that. You guys are, obviously you're doing everything right. You're constructing training and all that kind of stuff, but you're also starting to perform these tasks. And man, I love the idea of taking people out of the mundane. I was like, oh, don't drive 3 hours out there, check something out, turn around and drive 3 hours back. That's your day to day. But let's say you're kind of an early adopter, and I think honestly, again, this kind of speaks to the idea that we're just barely starting to scratch the surface of what the Spot is going to be capable of. And I think you guys have probably seen that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And, it is exciting, even not just for the operators, but just for folks around the station from a cultural perspective. Walking down the hallway of the Spot, I kind of joke with my colleagues. Sometimes I have to take a back alley because I'll have dozens of people come up and have all kinds of questions, and they get pretty excited just seeing this sort of technology deployed in the field. I think just intuitively, without knowing much about it, they can see the benefit and how it can enhance their job and keep them safer. So it's really exciting, and we're really looking forward to finding some new use cases and getting more of our staff trained up to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. What's funny is, as I've said this a couple times, is like it's just that it's this really cool piece of engineering, and that you just talk about it walking down a hallway or something like that. It's funny how quickly you get used to it. Like, oh yeah, it's Scout, it's doing its, or it's Spot, it's going out and doing its thing. Again, it's funny how quickly you get used to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, cool. So anyway, that's what I have for you. I think we're kind of wrapping up on time here. So again, thank you for joining us for this, and I think we're really looking forward to seeing kind of how you guys continue on this journey and the next step you guys are going to take. Because again, I think you're just scratching the surface of what this is possible of. So again, we're wrapping up for time here. So thanks again, Mike, for joining us. Do you have anything else to kind of send us off with?
No, thanks. Thanks for having me, Jace. Looking forward to playing the Spot a little more in the near future. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, thanks again, Mike, and then everybody, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this content, and of course, make sure you stay tuned for the additional videos and other information we have coming out on Tech Week. As well, if you need more information on the Spot and Scout software and what implementation, what operations you can complete with that, go ahead and contact us. Go to rmus.com. You can find our info there, both RMUS Canada as well as RMUS in the United States. Thanks again for joining us.